ولك الحمد لما رضيت ولك الحمد بعد الرضا حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه لا منتهى له دون علمك. واصلي واسلم على سيد الانبياء وخير البشر محمد النبي المعتبر وعلى من سار على نهجه وبسنته اقتفى وبكلماته اعتبر. ثم اما بعد. ابراهيم الحربي رحمه الله narrates عبد الله بن جعفر الطيار ibn Abi Talib once walked out to check his gardens. Abdullah is the son of Ja'far al-Tayyar, the cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This scholar, this pious man, was a man of wealth. So one day he went out to check his gardens. And as he was checking out his gardens, he walked into the garden of one of his neighbors. We didn't know who he was. And in there, he saw a black slave. And he saw the black slave with a raghif, with a loaf of bread in his hand. And then he saw a dog that was right next to the black slave. And he noticed that the black slave would actually cut one piece of the loaf and put it in his mouth. And then the other piece he will throw to the dog. And he kept on doing so until the loaf of bread was finished. Abdullah ibn Ja'far approached the man and he said to him, "Who is your master?" And he said to him, "My master is Mus'ab ibn Zubayr." He said to him, "Do you work in this garden?" He said, "Yes." And he said, "Who is the owner of the garden?" He said, "It is the same man, Mus'ab ibn Zubayr." So Abdullah, he looked at him and he said, "I saw you do something very strange. I saw you dividing the loaf of bread between you and the dog, between you and the stray dog. So why did you do that? What is the cause?" So that black slave, who does not even own his own freedom, said to him, "Inni la astahi min aynin tanzur ilayya nadrata hajatin an uthira nafsi alayha." He said to him, "I am shy when I am actually about to eat and there is an eye that is looking at me, a look of need, that I should actually favor myself over it. And that's why every time I take a piece of it, I look at the dog and I'll see the dog looking at me wanting food. And therefore I favor him over myself." So Abdullah ibn Ja'far, he left him and he went back to the Medina and he looked for Mus'ab ibn Zubayr. And he saw Mus'ab and he said, "Do you have a slave that looks such and such?" He said, "Yes." He said to him, "Do you have a garden in that area?" He said, "Yes." He said, "How much would you want for it?" Mus'ab looked at him and said to him, "Why do you want to buy it?" He said, I'm not going to negotiate with you. Name your price and it will be paid for you." So Mus'ab named his price and he sold it to Abdullah ibn Ja'far. Then Abdullah ibn Ja'far went back to the area, to the garden, and he looked at the slave and he called him. And he said to him, "I bought you from your master." So the slave said to him, "May Allah make me a source of blessing for you." And he said to him, "And I bought the garden in which you work." And then he said, "May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase the goodness of this garden for you." And then Abdullah ibn Ja'far said to him, "And be my witness that I have gifted your freedom to you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." So he said to him, "May Allah reward you khair." And then he said to him, "And be my witness that I have actually gifted you this garden, a gift for you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." The black slave looked at him and he said to him, "As you gifted that garden for his sake, when he gave it to me, I gifted for the poor of the Muslims until the day of judgment." Abdullah ibn Ja'far is from the people that learned from the great teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that slave, within 1 hour, he turned from being a slave that does not even own himself, cannot do anything by his own accord, to a man that is rich, that has a complete garden under his hand. Today we spend 10 and 20 years to own a house. Look what Allah has given to him. Who is the one that placed Ja'far? Who is the one that placed Abdullah ibn Ja'far at this particular time? It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who is the one that moved the heart of Abdullah ibn Ja'far towards this particular man. That he granted him his freedom and he bought it for him and he gave him that garden. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore by extension Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was pleased with that slave because of the fact that he fed a dog that looked at him with a look of need. Today, brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers and sisters around the world, they look at us with a look of need. This year is one of the hardest years on the Muslims. Whenever you look in the continents, you find famines, you find droughts, you find tribulations and trials. You find Muslims that are poor. Muslims that are fasting, they have nothing to break the fast on. Muslims who have been tested in their religion through their food. And that is what is taking place in Africa. And that's why today, inshallah ta'ala, what we're going to do, and inshallah we're going to do this periodically every single week at the UMA, we're going to collect our fundraising for the poor Muslims around the world. And today, inshallah ta'ala, we are going to collect this money for the poor Muslims in Ghouta. In this particular African country, where people are becoming Muslims just because they are finding someone that feeds them. And that's why some of the brothers that are working there in the field of da'wah, I was speaking to one of them today, he said to me, we fund 3 mosques. He said 15 different villages, they come to us so they can be fed by us. And one of the programs that they are running is the program of feeding the fasting. Feeding the fasting people. Today, subhanahu wa ta'ala, who amongst us can say that his fasting is complete? Do we not cheat sometimes? Do we not lie sometimes? Do we not betray ourselves with a look sometimes? So how would you perfect your fasting? Better than you providing for the sake of Allah and feeding someone that is fasting. As the Rasul said in the hadith that is in Tirmidhi and Hasan and Sahih, the one who feeds a fasting person, then he has the same reward as the person that he is feeding, without the fasting person losing anything of his reward. And I was informed by the brother that 50 cents in the Australian dollar would feed one person there. 50 cents will feed one person there. And $50 will feed 100. And 100 will feed 200. And 1,000 will feed 2,000 people. So look at yourselves. What better of a gift can someone give to you, for you, than you to break the fast of someone that is fasting for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet does not have food to break his fast. And also they have orphans there. And the sponsorship of an orphan is between $40 and $50 if someone wants to commit. And also they have a program for teaching their religion, and which is called sponsoring a da'iyah, sponsoring a sheikh, someone that would work there and the cost is from $80 to $100, so they can actually teach them their religion. Because these people, they are actually like the Bedouins at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The more you give them, the more they will stay with you. And that's why some of the missionaries there, they are using the food so they can turn them away from their religion. So now, my brothers, the donation today is not only a sadaqah, and the best of sadaqah is the sadaqah that is paid in the month of Ramadan, as by the hadith of Anas. And it's not only feeding someone that is fasting, because when you do so, then you get the same reward of them, but even it is a way for you to keep that person steadfast on his religion. And I'll leave you with the hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he was speaking to Asma bint Abi Bakr, the wife of Zubayr, when he looked at her and he said to her, Ya Asma, la tabkhali fa yabkhal Allah alayki. Ya Asma, la tabkhali fa yabkhal Allah alayki. Asma, do not be a miser and give for the sake of Allah, so Allah will not be a miser on you. Bal anfiqi wamdahi wa la tuki. Instead, donate generously and do not tighten your hand. And we'll leave it with a hadith Qudsi. Ya ibn Adam, anfiq unfiq alayk. O son of Adam, spend for my sake and I shall spend over you. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So inshallah, donate generously.